What's going on, shoe fanatics? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I did a review, and this one is an absolute banger of a shoe. Now, I don't get into the sneaker of the year type conversations, but if I had to put my 2 cents in, this one would be up there. I mean, top 5, and it ain't 5 to say the least. Just about everything about this shoe is an absolute banger, but I can show you better than I can tell you. Starting with the box. Now, you guys know I love a special box. If you guys watch the channel, I always wax poetic about how much I love special boxes, and we have a special box today. Tying directly into the theme of the shoe, which I'll get into a little bit later, this shoe box is definitely special. It has a textured feel to it. So if you rub your fingers across this box, it actually feels like a concrete or asphalt slab. I mean, it's fantastic. Reinforcing that theme, you do have a painted 2-3 as well as a Jumpman in the signature style of Nina Chanel Abney. You will also take note that there is paint splatter in it, again, reinforcing the theme of a concrete or asphalt finish. On each side of the shoe, again, you have painted lines of white and black, and then you also have painted lines of white and black with an X on both this side as well as this side. And overall, in my opinion, my estimation, this should represent a street. Of course, you have these 2-3 on here, just like painted letters like stop. And to me, on this side, this looks like a crosswalk, like where children cross the street in front of a school, or maybe even where a train passes over or through the road. Then, of course, the signature orange on the box, which I'll dive into a little bit later. Size tag reads, Women's Air Jordan 3 Retro OG SB, Bi-Coastal Black Malachite. Now, remember Malachite for later on. Now, of course, once you pop up on the top and see the wax paper is displayed in Nina's signature style. Again, more on that later. But at first glance, you have 1988, which is, of course, the year the Jordan 3 debuted. You have a pair of black hands, which could be like a flashing stoplight at an intersection. 2-3, which should be beyond obvious. Various shapes such as hearts and circles. And then this guy who's very unenthusiastic about what's happening. But I, however, am very impressed. So ladies and gentlemen, I am beyond pleased to present to you the Air Jordan 3 Nina Chanel Malachite. So if you're new here, the first thing we do is we talk about the shoe and then we talk about the shoe, so stay tuned. Starting with the sole of the shoe, you have the usual design elements of an Air Jordan 3. Radial traction pattern in this light green colorway, probably a sail or cream sole, as well as the orange hints. Now remember, typically, wherever there's a Nike here, there's a Nike Air on the back, opposed to when it says Jordan, there's probably a Jumpman logo on the back. But yeah, that being said, we also have the visible Air unit there, typical of an Air Jordan 3. Now coming up to the actual upper, we have the Bi-Coastal and Malachite colorways. The Malachite colorway, again, is this long hair suede around the toe cap, on the eye stays, around the collar, as well as on the heel. The Bi-Coastal colorway is this darker muted green in this canvas material, finishing out the upper. The lace holes and eye stays are that sail colorway, which is a great contrast to the rest of the shoe. You have a white or stitched Jumpman on both tongues, except if you come looking here, the tongue is actually the same shape as Nina Chanel style in the Jumpman logo. Very good touch. Now the sock liner, the interior sock liner is leather, which I did not know going into this, and it actually bumps the shoe up that much more. This is a nice touch. I mean, the shoe has canvas and suede on it, but a leather interior, very, very nice. Great design touch. That leather does extend to the back of the tongue. As you can see on one shoe, typically you have an Air Jordan 3 patch. This one does say Nina, and this one does say Air Jordan, again, in an orange patch. Very nice touch, very good color contrast. This is actually the first shoe that I have ever received that has a rope lace in it from the factory. Very, very nice. Cream or sail colored rope lace comes default, with a beautiful pair of orange laces as a spare. Of course, we have a Jumpman logo on an orange hang tag in the traditional Jordan style, and then Nina does it again with her interpretation of the Jumpman logo on the other side. Of course, the insoles of both shoes, you have this orange and white checkerboard pattern with the green pitch at the top. Oh, and a Jumpman logo too, how could I forget? And now the creme de la creme of the shoe itself, in my opinion, the back heel tab. And that is actually what ties the shoe in to the theme the best, in my opinion. The entire shoe, but more specifically the back heel tab, come take a look. The Nike swoosh, as well as Air, look like a patch of grass to me, in my opinion, and therein lies the connection. But imagine yourself in New York City at Central Park. Acres and acres of grass, people, hustle, bustle, a lot going on. Just outside of that, you have the main roadway. And then you have construction cones and traffic cones and all types of stuff going on. This kind of is what this shoe is meant to symbolize. Inner city living, the big city life. And you have this patch of grass and this kind of construction going on. And that's kind of how Nina's style fits everything together. And a lot of times, this is why storytelling matters. Besides being dope and being a green and orange shoe, there's so much more to this shoe than just that. And just like Nina's art, there's a lot of themes and subtext beneath it. This shoe is all about navigating your way through big city life, specifically New York City, as well as pushing the envelope on the Air Jordan 3. Now, I've said the word malachite quite a few times. That's because I believe Nina actually really likes the colorway. Insert the Air Jordan 2 low from Nina a couple years ago. And yes, this is a Nina Chanel Abney Air Jordan 2 low. And of course, her version of malachite makes its debut on this shoe. Putting these to the side for a minute, you can see that Nina invokes her personal style on the Air Jordan 2. On the typical Air Jordan 2 low, you can see that the threading is a lot busier on the toe, as opposed to Nina's, which is a lot cleaner. Same thing with these breathable holes that discontinue here on this particular shoe, but on your standard Air Jordan 2 low, they continue all the way around. This shoe is also devoid of piping around this section as opposed to having piping around this one. And the most obvious change is a very clean profile on the back of this heel as opposed to the ridges on this shoe. She also put snakeskin on the tongue of this particular shoe, where this one is clean on the Air Jordan 2 UNC low. She also had a white and red Air Jordan 2 mid, which is just as different from the Air Jordan 2 Chicago mid. But the point being is Nina clearly has her design style and she has her ways with the silhouettes in which she's granted access to. And I absolutely love her for that. Alongside her shoes, she also released a clothing capsule, including but not limited to this beautiful t-shirt here. And of course, there's always little hit bits and little hidden stuff on the shirt. Right here, you have a white stitched Jumpman logo. On the other side, you have her initials, NCA, as well as the embroidered 23. Then, of course, you have the Jumpman logo in Nina's style, as well as Air Jordan in it. I also picked up a pair of what she calls Hoochie Daddy shorts in this malachite and bi-coastal colorway. There's also some fantastic hoodies in orange and green, as well as some jogging pants, and I think also a couple of jackets. Very, very dope. So for those of you who don't know or who haven't already guessed, malachite is actually a green stone, not to be confused with emerald or jade. Malachite is said to have the essence of joy and is known as a transformational stone. It's supposed to show and absorb emotional pain from the bearer and take all that into itself, giving the bearer or the user room for emotional transformation and growth. That could be something that Nina really holds near and dear to her heart and why she has used it now on 2 consecutive silhouettes. So suffice to say, if you didn't know who Nina Chanel was then, you probably do by now. The Air Jordan 2 did release to less than spectacular fanfare, which I get. I mean, it's an Air Jordan 2, which is not the most popular silhouette. And on top of that, she did strip down a lot of the elements that fans of the Air Jordan 2 actually did like. But almost instantaneously, at first looks of this shoe, it became insanely popular and blew expectations out of the water. Now back to Nina. As I mentioned, if you don't know who she is, you probably should. Nina Chanel Abney is an artist born in Harvey, Illinois, whose work has taken her all over the world. And as a matter of fact, her works, at the very least in this country, are literally from coast to coast, top to bottom. I mean, from California to New York, from Ohio to Texas, and everywhere in between, you can find Nina's work. Her work is currently displayed in modern art museums, as well as college campuses all over the country. Now, while I do enjoy a good museum, I am not an art aficionado. But to me, her style kind of represents an abstract and contemporary blend. So here's kind of what I mean. Come take a look at this hang tag that came with the Air Jordan 2 lows. As you can see, this is Michael Jordan probably taking a jump shot over the Los Angeles Lakers. But of course, it's done in that kind of cubism, that abstract style. I'll go ahead and throw up a couple of her other works so you guys can see how that kind of shapes up. Shapes up, pun intended. Her work touches on a lot of things, including race, sex, religion, politics, a whole gamut of things that human beings dive into as a whole. It's a really bold style that uses a lot of color, imagery, and symbolism to get her point across. And though while she's new to us here in the sneaker world, she's been doing this in the art world. She's world renowned, as I mentioned earlier. I think she's either the first woman or a black woman or some combination thereof to sell a piece of art for $1 million or better. And I remember hearing about the information from actually the Jordan 2 release. But it was difficult to find out again because when you type or Google Nina Chanel sold, resale prices come up on these. So you guys got to do better. Now, like her actual works of art, Nina's objective is to destabilize and change the way we think about things, including how we feel about the Air Jordan 3 silhouette as a traditional silhouette. Now, at the very least, since hip-hop and sneakers are very much intertwined, you should know Nina Chanel Abney from her work with Meek Mill. In 2021, when Meek dropped his hit studio album titled Expensive Pain, Nina Chanel Abney did a lot of his promotional work, including but not limited to a very controversial piece of art, which Meek Mill then took and wrapped his tour bus with it, garnering a lot of negative criticism for some of the images depicted on the piece of art. Now take a look at that piece of art and let me know, do you think if it was all that controversial, or do you think it was just a representation of Meek Mill's life? I could go on and on about Nina Chanel Abney and her amazing works of art, but that would take this from a sneaker review to something entirely different. But I would love to be able to discuss her in some form of fashion later on. Now, one thing we do have to talk about is the release, because it was horrible. It was bad. It was terrible. It was real bad. It was real bad. The shoe first released at a pop-up location at the Museum of Modern Art on June 12th, I believe it was. And subsequently, the shoe was to release on June 13th, which was my birthday, on her actual website. And that's where the problem began. I was one of the fortunate few who actually got in when the site opened up and got my raffle in. But beyond that, the actual website had massive issues containing all the probably hundreds of thousands of entries going in for this shoe. And unfortunately, and I believe this was a mistake, Nina attempted to correct that wrong by extending the raffle time, which I think compounded issues and only made things worse. But listen, I'm not an HTML guy. I don't know how raffles work in the grand scheme of things. It was bad. It was bad. It's my hope and wish that Nina Chanel Abney continues to do work with Jordan Brand and pumps out more beautiful works of art just like this pair here. My only hope is next time she does it using an EQL or first come first serve raffle, which either or will be better than what we got. But all that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead, go outside, give you guys at least one lace swap, and you guys be the judge of which one you like the best. Hope you enjoyed this review. I hope this encourages you to get out there and enjoy some of Nina Chanel Abney's work. I'm sure that she has this place somewhere close to a city near you. All that being said, guys, I have more reviews on the way. Thank you guys for sticking in there with me. Be sure to follow me on IG because even if I don't do a review, I'm posting my latest pickups on my page. Again, thank you. Thank you. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave me a comment about how you feel about the Air Jordan 3 Nina Chanel Abney in all its glory. Until the next one, guys, I have been Jay Shoe Fanatic, and I'm out. I can smell it. Oh, the original cut. There it absolutely is. I might like it better than the 2020 version.